for the success of federalism, but these are not sufficient or only thing which makes the federalism successful. So the constitutional provisions are necessary, important, needed for the success of federalism, but at the same time they are not alone sufficient to make it successful. In a federal experiment that has succeeded in India, it is not merely because of the clearly laid down constitutional provisions. It is not only because of the constitutional provisions it has been successful in India, because the real success of federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of the democratic politics in India or in our country. So the real success of federalism in India can be attributed to how the democratic politics are carried in our country. This is to ensure that the spirit of federalism, the respect for diversity, and the desire for living together became shared ideas in our country. So, it is not only the constitutional provisions alone that make the federal structure successful. The structure or the federal setup in India has been successful not just because of the constitutional provisions. The real success of federalism can be attributed to the political setup and the nature of politics which is there in our country, and it also ensured that the spirit of federalism, respect for diversity, desire for living together became shared ideals in the country. You can see here how is the federalism practiced and what are the challenges that they have faced. The first challenge which we have faced is the creation of linguistic states, the identification of a particular language as a national language, and the CentreState Relations. Now first let us see the linguistic states. The linguistic states was the first major test for democratic politics in India. It is from 1947 to 2017, many old states have vanished. Vanished in the sense they emerged as new states. Now, many old states were broken down and have been created as new states. So, the areas, the boundaries, the names of the states have been changed over these 60 years. Some states have been formed because the people speak the same language. So, the creation of a state basing on the language is known as linguistic states or linguistic state. So, the first major test for Indian democratic politics after independence, that is 1947 to 2017, many states, the map of India was not like this. It has many older states got disappeared and many new states with new areas, new boundaries, new names have been emerged. Some states have been formed on the criteria of people speaking the same language, some on historical backgrounds. So the states which are formed on the basis of language are called as linguistic states. So this is the first test which India has successfully passed in distinction over this test. Now moving to the second test. The second test for the Indian Federation is the language policy. First, language-based states. Second, the language policy. What is the complication here? The problem is, in India, every state, they have their own languages. You can see here the list of all the languages which are there in India. So, Hindi has been identified as the official language of India, which triggered some amount of insecurity among the other states where we have non-Hindi speakers, especially in the southern states of India. So they decided, besides Hindi, there are 21 other languages which are recognized as official languages, and they were scheduled in the constitution. So in order to solve this problem and pass this test by the Indian democratic politics, they have identified, apart from Hindi, 21 other languages and recognized them as scheduled languages by the constitution. Now, states too have their own official languages, and the government workplaces take official languages of the concerned states. Now, what is the use of the states' official languages? The states will use these languages in their workplaces. So the government work takes place in these official languages only of the respective states. So even in the second test, though it is more complicated than the previous one, India is able to pass with greater enthusiasm and also involving all the sections of the society. So there is no one language that is declared as official. Though Hindi has been identified, but even the non-Hindi speaking states have their own languages which can be used by the governments, by the respective state governments to do the works. So they have identified 21 plus 1, 22 languages as scheduled languages by the constitution. So India is able to pass the second test as well, that is the language policy. And moving to the third important test or a challenge, that the center-state relations. The center-state relations is one wherein which federalism has been strengthened in practice in India. If no single party gets a clear majority in the parliament, that is in Lok Sabha, the major national parties can form as an alliance. They form as a group within which the many parties, including several regional parties, to form a government at the center. So this particular feature in the constitution has led for power sharing between the states, governments, as well as the union governments. So the center-state relations has gone a long way since its independence in 1947. It has been strengthened in practice. India has seen a single party dominating the politics for more than 3 decades. Later, there has been a series of coalition governments, alliance governments between many regional parties and national parties coming together and forming a government at the central level or the union level. So this led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of the state governments. So even in the third test, India is able to pass with great results. So in this module, we learned how is federalism practiced, what are the stands that were taken by the Indian government whenever it is put to test. It is able to achieve great results with great cooperation among the union and the state government. So I hope you all understood the concept very well. If you have any doubts, please comment below. And if you need any help, on any topic, you please share through your comments. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.